Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, 3 women were arrested for twerking in front of a World War II monument in Russia.
I'm Tony Kornheiser, but I can keep doing it here, can't I? I can't.
I don't know.
USA!
Called in.
USA! USA! Can do it right here.
You wouldn't know twerking. Why would somebody get arrested for twerking? I mean, who cares? Even in Russia. Today? Come on.
I'm not much of a twerker, that's a conceit. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Clippers tie up the Spurs. Josh Hamilton is back in Texas, and we've got a Game 7 in the NHL. But we begin today with the Cleveland Cavaliers facing the loss of 2 starters. Kevin Love is definitely out with a dislocated shoulder. All reports are that he will be out for weeks. Love believes Boston's Kelly Olynyk deliberately tried to hurt him yesterday. J.R. Smith faces suspension for what appeared to be his deliberate attempt to hurt Boston's Jay Crowder. Wilbon, do you think that Olynyk play was dirty? And what effect might all of this have on the Cavaliers?
Well, Tony, I don't think it was dirty. Big guys wrestle all the time. I mean, I'm very convinced last night listening to a very persuasive source, Shaquille O'Neal, who just dismissed this as dirty and said, look, this is what we do. We wrestle. Kevin Love is adept at wrestling at 6'10" and 250 or 60 pounds, whatever Kevin Love is. It was an unfortunate play, Tony. You hate to see anybody get hurt. Too much of this basketball season, and now the playoffs are defined by injuries. I hated seeing Kevin Love run off like that. It's awful.
Right.
Intentional, no.
Right.
And if J.R. Smith is suspended for the amount of time he ought to go away for, which is 2 or 3 games minimum. Ron Artest got like 6 games for something similar, elbowing, the beard, James Harden some years ago. 2, 3 games, of course it has to. That's 30-some points a game going away from the Cavaliers lineup, facing presumably, if the Bulls can get their act together, the Bulls.
You thought J.R. Smith's play was deliberate, didn't you? Right?
Tony, it can be intentional or not. It's so reckless and it's so violent that no matter what he says, he's got to go away.
Yeah. Kevin Love may not be having the kind of gaudy season that we're used to seeing him have, but his effectiveness in the playoffs is undeniable. Just to do a statistic here. On the court in the playoffs, the Cavaliers have an offensive efficiency of 118.7, and when he's off, it plummets to 94.6. He helps a lot. He spreads the floor. He's an outside shooting threat. He's a great outlet passer. So I think that he will be tremendously missed. I think that the beneficiary in all of this is your Chicago Bulls, and I don't think you could see it any other way. I said last week that the Bulls would have a chance with Derrick Rose playing well. They would have a chance to beat Cleveland. Now, if you have 2 starters out, if J.R. Smith gets multiple games, and our friend Sam Smith said he thought he'd get at least 5, if he gets multiple games and Kevin Love is out, Chicago comes into Cleveland, they steal games, Mike. That's what happens.
Well, the first 2 games, Tony, that's what they have to do. Look, we'll get more into the Bulls, but the Bulls also can't turn it over 28 times, or they're not going to beat anybody. Because they don't care. They don't give a damn about possession of the basketball, and you're not going to beat Cleveland. I don't care if they put Bingo Smith back out there from 40 years ago.
It hurts Cleveland.
That many times.
It puts a lot more pressure on LeBron James and a lot more on Kyrie Irving. Let me ask you something. More pressure.
Of all the players in the league, who can handle a lot more pressure?
LeBron's the best player in the league.
Tony, Cleveland is going to still be the favorite, and the Bulls have to get at least one of those 2 games in Cleveland, because the Cavaliers, LeBron's team always win a road game.
It tightens the margin of error now.
Yes, it does.
Tightens it.
No question, Tom. The drama was confined to basketball yesterday in San Antonio, but the Clippers surprised a lot of folks by getting an A+ from a much-criticized reserve corps. That will be Austin Rivers, Big Baby Davis, and Jamal Crawford leading the way. The series is tied now, but the Clippers have Game 5 tomorrow here in Los Angeles, and Game 7, if necessary, here in Los Angeles. So, Tony, with that in mind, is this series really tied, or are the Clippers now in control?
I think the Clippers have an obvious advantage. They have home, away, home. 2 homes in a 2 out of 3 series now. They have allegedly the best player on the floor in Chris Paul. They certainly have the most spectacular player on the floor in Blake Griffin. I expect them at this point to win, and I don't know why anybody would not expect them to win now.
Oh, I guess plenty of reason to not expect them to win. Look at the opponent. I'm sorry, Earth to Tony, 5 championships. Tim
in
Duncan,
the past, he's
Parker
39.
Feeling better again, Tony. Tony Parker was Tony Parker yesterday. He was, look, I said
Tony Parker was Tony Parker yesterday, and they lost yesterday.
Tony, it's one game. It's one game.
Well, there's only 3 left, Mike.
You pronounced the Clippers dead when they lost game 2.
No.
You're like just one of these fans of the foam finger now where you can't remember what you said 2 games ago.
They have the obvious advantage. If they were to lose this series at this point, it would fall hard on them. It would fall hard on Chris Paul, hard on Blake Griffin, and hard on Doc Rivers. Because the Spurs should have won this series. They won Game 3 by 27 points, and then they failed in Game 4. They could have locked it up.
So which way is it? You got everybody failing, and you're flailing. And the fact is,
I'm not flailing. I got the Clippers winning.
That there's no momentum in this. These games are individual episodes, Tony, and they are unaffected by what goes on before that. And the Spurs are a championship team that have a coach that will work and react and adjust today and come out with a game plan tomorrow. Well, so this series is even. No one has control.
You're the only guy in America who doesn't believe in any momentum.
No one has momentum. Thanks for paying attention to the series.
You know what, Mike? You can scream as loud as you want. When you have 2 out of 3 games at home that you've earned over the course of the season, you're supposed to win.
Who says you?
Yeah, me, right here.
Okay.
I'm saying you're supposed to win. You go ahead, don't pick a winner. Fine. Adam Wainwright is reportedly out for the season, having popped his Achilles trying to run to first base after popping the ball up at the plate. Wainwright is the ace of the Cardinals staff. In his last 5 full seasons, he has won 92 games. Max Scherzer, who hurt his thumb batting in his last start for Washington, said, quote, "Who would people rather see, a real hitter hitting home runs or a pitcher swinging a wet newspaper? Both leagues need to be on the same set of rules," unquote. Wilbon, will Wainwright's injury push baseball closer to the DH in the National League?
Tony, I think things were moving that way anyway, and I've been sort of against it historically just because I got to watch in person, as you did, National League and American League baseball sort of growing up, and I think we both prefer National League baseball.
Yes.
But, Tony, you know what? As the entertainment value of things has greater value, you can't justify the pitchers being out there. The games take a turn. They're not as exciting as the American League product, and some are not as long either. But I think it's going in this direction, and at a glacial pace. I'm starting to move in that direction, too.
I am as well. I mean, if you're going to have interleague play, it's just too confusing to have half without a DH and half with a DH. I think that in this case, what baseball does is it changes very slowly. But sometimes dramatic effect occurs from a big play. Buster Posey went out for the rest of the season at home, and they changed the rule. So now there's a swipe tag. You can't block the plate in the same way. Buster Posey is a star. Adam Wainwright is a star. He's a very important player in all of baseball. I think the rule could change. I think, you know what, Mike? I think they want to change the rule. I think they want uniformity, and it's easier to have a DH. It is. It's easier.
Yeah. I don't object to the uniformity either, Tony. I think that there is some momentum here, and even if it's slow, it seems to be steady. I'm interested in the effect this will have on the Cardinals growing up, you know, with that whole Cubs-Cardinals thing, the one-sidedness of it. I think that Wainwright, they'll figure it out. The Cardinals have somebody in the minor leagues. They'll make a deal before the deadline. The Cardinals will come up with something. And I'm not going to say they're not going to miss Wainwright. I'm going to say the Cardinals are going to get past it because they're the Cardinals.
Baseball loses so many pitchers to Tommy John. You don't want to keep losing them to other injury. You just don't. You don't want
something like this, so fluky. The Angels have officially done something today that was unthinkable just 2 years ago when they signed Josh Hamilton to a $125 million contract. They gave him away, literally. Okay, down the road, some unnamed player or cash considerations may be involved. But for now, they have delivered him to division rival Texas while picking up close to $70 million of the $80 million remaining on his deal. Tony, do you believe this homecoming will work out for Hamilton and the Rangers?
Well, Hamilton will have some fences to mend in Texas. On his way out, he called Dallas a football town. It is a football town, of course, but it got him booed there. Nobody has ever been booed like LeBron James was booed in Cleveland, and now he came back and he's cheered.
That's right.
So I expect Hamilton to be cheered. But honestly, Mike, I don't know how this is going to work out. He's had more than one relapse. It seems to me that he's one away from not having a career. There's a lot of pressure in this. It feels like his last chance, doesn't it? It feels like
yes, Tony, and that's undeniable.
Yeah.
But even if we establish that, there's some things that work in Texas's favor here, which I think are pretty undeniable, too. They're in last place.
Yeah.
They have no left fielder.
Right.
And it
costs them no money. Cost them no money.
Cost them, Tone.
Right, no
They're
money.
They're going to pay less than $7 million to get Hamilton back.
Right.
He's given up, a few dollars. I mean, it's an amazing thing how the Angels just decided, you know what, and Tony, you're right. We allude to a series of things. The Angels just said, this ain't working.
Look,
we've already given our last chance. Maybe somebody else can give theirs.
They are willing to pay about $70 million to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So you have to step back for a second and say, do we really want him? Now, his best years were with Texas, and Texas's best years were with him. They got to the World Series twice. We all hope this works out, but there's a part of me that isn't as optimistic as I'd like to be.
What about the support systems that we both thought leaving behind was risky to do?
Better in Texas and California.
Maybe those support systems can be reconstructed. Maybe they're just waiting for them.
Hope so. The Washington Capitals find themselves in a familiar spot tonight, hosting a Game 7. Tonight, the opponent is the New York Islanders, who once beat the Caps in a 4-overtime Game 7. The Caps are 2-7 lifetime in home Game 7s.
Yeah.
Their star, Alex Ovechkin, is 1-4. Wilbon, what is on the line tonight for Alex Ovechkin?
Everything. And by the way, I want to point out to people, that might have been the last time you were up past 1 a.m. Shoulder to shoulder, we sat watching that game. Yeah. 4 overtimes into Easter morning. One of the great games, memorable games in NHL Stanley Cup history. Tony, everything's on the line for Ovechkin. I mean, I think as long as he's gone, look, he's probably halfway through his career. He's gone this far, and he hasn't won. He's been a disappointment everywhere you turn in terms of the team and winning in the Olympics, Stanley Cup play. He's still got a chance to salvage it, Tony. You can have a late run. John Elway had a late run. He wound up with 2. He's a god. Ovechkin can do this, but you have to start it, so why not tonight?
Without disagreeing with any of that, and I look at it like, what about his reputation? I don't think this game means much to his reputation, because this is his reputation. His reputation is as a great regular season player. He led the league this year in goals by a lot, in power play goals, in game-winning goals.
2 MVPs, right?
Yeah, I just think that if he wins this one, he's got to go on and win more. He's never been to the conference finals. He's never been to the Stanley Cup. His team, somebody on this show, I don't know who, has referred to the Caps as choking dogs. And one of the reasons that would be out there is because 2-7 in Game 7s. A couple of years ago, or maybe a couple of years ago, right? They had the Rangers in the same spot, went home, lost 5-0.
Unbelievable. I remember being in another game, looking at the score, seeing 5-0 and freaking out. Tony, you and I, to be fair, covered most of those losses, if not all, in that 7. So we've seen this, but Tony, he's got a chance. Ovechkin's got it.
They should win,
and Melrose says this Capitals team is made of different stuff.
Melrose says a lot of stuff. They should win, and the Clippers should win. Let's take a break, but coming up, would Mark Sanchez take a shot at Tim Tebow?
Well, And which Derrick Rose are we going to see tonight as the Bulls try again to close out the Bucks? Which Bulls are we going to see tonight?
Bulls are great.
Get some stick 'em.
They should win by 30. They're great.
No, they're not. No,
they're great.
No,
they should win. They should win the East.
Well, they could do that.
Love is out.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
We found out this morning that the intern can trim my ear hair. Now let's see if he can find 4 good issues.
Let's
go to the mailbox
really
here.
Nasty.
Yeah. Mark Sanchez said the Eagles signed Tim Tebow because they needed another guy to throw while Sam Bradford is recovering. Woo! Shots fired?
It's a baby shot. I just, Mark Sanchez, given his history recently, not the first 2 years, but subsequently, it's like, dude, you might dare to throw while somebody's recovering. That might be your purpose. So, let's not get too sassy, Brett Favre. With Mark Sanchez, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He can now tell you why somebody else is in camp. I don't want to hear that.
Mark Sanchez clearly hates Tim Tebow, has no respect for him whatsoever. And you know why he hates him? because America basically feels like Tebow deserves another chance, and America looks at Sanchez as a stumble bum who did the butt fumble, even though Sanchez has 4 playoff wins and Tebow only has 1. That's the way it breaks down, so he doesn't want Tebow in camp. He's had this before. He can't stand him. It's very simple.
Yeah, maybe he can't beat him out. You consider that?
Here's your question. Derrick Rose says he blew Game 4. What do you expect tonight in Game 5?
Tony, I know most people, you've already indicated this, you expect some blowout. My brother Don calls me yesterday, says the Bulls are going to win by 30. No, they're not, because they don't value the ball. They give the ball away. For a team with a bunch of individually high IQ basketball players, I mean high off the chart IQ individually, they play some of the stupidest basketball with the turnovers. They just hand the ball over as much as any team in the league, and that's why they're not going to be able to beat Cleveland without personnel help. I expect the Bulls to win, but it's going to be tougher than people like you think.
Yeah. Shout out to your brother Don. What's up? Because I got him winning by 30 also.
I know you do.
They understand now that Cleveland is wounded. At least they lose Kevin Love. They probably lose J.R. Smith for a minimum of 1 and probably more than that. And they ought to be licking their chops. Just get rid of Milwaukee. Milwaukee isn't any good. Just get rid of it and get ready for the next
series. If they're
series.
thinking like that tonight, then this is going to go back to Milwaukee 3-2. If they start thinking about Cleveland, Tony, you're going to be wrong.
That's what they're doing. Robert Griffin's slogan for the 2015 season is talk small, play big. I bet you like that.
No, I don't like any slogans. I don't want to hear any of this stuff. I mean, look, you are one of the RG3 biographers. This is not the first slogan, is it?
No, this is the 4th slogan.
Oh, well, I've sort of ignored the other 3.
4th
but
slogan.
I don't want to hear any slogans. I just want to see him play. I want to see him play like he did when he was a rookie. I want to see him be great again because I root for him. I like him personally, even though the rest of the town has turned against him. That would be including you.
For the record,
what are the slogans?
His first one was know your why. I have no idea what that means.
I've never heard that.
2 was all in for week 1, which was a disaster.
I remember that.
Because he wasn't ready and he ended up getting benched.
Should have been held out.
Last year was this is for us, and he got hurt again, and he got benched again. Either. Now it's talk small, play big, which is ridiculous because he's available to talk for commercial purposes all the time. I agree with you. Play like you played when you were a rookie. You were great. Play like you did that. And now they picked up his option for a 5th year. They picked up his option.
You know what, Tone? Say whatever you want and spin big. That's what 16 mil says.
His new slogan is Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Should the White Sox fan have done more to prevent Alex Gordon's catch?
Yes. This is the easy answer. I mean, come on. I mean, this is this pop fly. You know, it had shades if he was coming from the infield instead of Derek Jeter. But you have to catch the ball. You snap. You don't alligator arm. This is the south side of Chicago, baby. This is where tough people are born and bred. You don't get out of the way of some opposing outfielder. No, especially when it's been brawling with your team. Throw a punch with the right hand, catch the ball with the left. Do more.
Everybody in this play distinguished themselves. It was a great, great catch. Unlike Derek Jeter, who made the catch in the playing field and then tumbled into the stands. This guy's feet were off the ground. He was in the stands. He landed 2 or 3 rows deep, and I'm going to suspect that because it was Chicago, the shades of Bartman told people, don't mess around quite like this. You know, let the guy make the catch.
Different side of town, Tone. They would go the other way as White Sox fans.
Really?
And this guy should have taken the pop fly. Get it out of
here. Enough email. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Should the Yankees celebrate Alex Rodriguez if he ties Willie Mays with 660 home runs tonight?
What, but not tomorrow or Thursday? And will the Nets even things up with the top seed in the East, Atlanta?
So your position is they should have punched this guy in the head as he dove into the stands?
Punch him with the right hand, grab the ball with the left hand.
That's ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
A new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Your home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
Happy time, people. Happy 48th birthday, Jason Whitlock. Big Sexy, who played offensive line at Ball State and gave up a promising career in the NFL because he wasn't drafted for the NFL. is our favorite substitute host on the PTI show, not named Ryan or Levitard or Simmons or Blackistone or Donde or Van Pelt or Tirico. Happy birthday, Jason.
Whitlock, he gave up that NFL career. Could you imagine Whitlock if he had been an NFL player for a while?
I think he would have been great. A posthumous happy anniversary to Rocky Marciano, the only unbeaten heavyweight champion in the history of boxing, retired from the ring on this day 59 years ago at age 32. You may have heard that Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are fighting this weekend. Mayweather is currently 47-0. If he beats Pacquiao, he needs only one more win to match Marciano at 49-0.
Yeah, but Marciano didn't duck anybody, and Mayweather, though he's historically great, did.
Happy trails to the Raptors and Pelicans. Both teams were swept out of the playoffs this weekend. The Pelicans were beaten by a great team, the Golden State Warriors. The Raptors were a disgrace. They dropped games 1 and 2 at home to the Wizards, barely showed up in Game 4 yesterday, trailing 102-70 after 3 quarters. Wilbon, do you think that will cost Dwayne Casey his job?
I fear it will, Tony. That's just an embarrassing effort by the Raptors to not even show up in a Game 4. But the game of the playoffs so far is that Steph Curry shot winning Game 3 in overtime down in New Orleans. That's the game of the playoffs so far.
Just one error, Mike. You said Alex Ovechkin has 2 MVPs.
What happened?
He actually has 3, and we go to the big finish. A-Rod now has 659 home runs. Should the Yankees celebrate him if he ties Willie Mays?
Well, should or not, they're going to do it. Guys are going to come out of the dugout, and they're going to applaud him, and the club doesn't have to do anything. Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins took a full-time job developing talent with TNA Wrestling, whatever that is. Does this make any sense to you?
Yeah, they're not filling arenas for the Smashing Pumpkins anymore. They got no gigs. Adrian Beltre of the Rangers sent Garrett Richards an invoice after the Angels pitcher broke 3 of his bats. You like that, don't you?
That's right. Don't use my bats, dude. Don't break them. The Grizzlies can close out Portland tonight. Will they do it?
I think they will, but it doesn't matter. They're going to win the series. They're going to win.
Conley.
Last one. Hawks at Nets Game 4 tonight. Will the Nets tie it up?
Tony, I think they can. Atlanta looks like Toronto lately. 9-9 the Hawks are in their last 18. That's not good.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. And I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. Check out the PTI podcast on iTunes.
Shout out to Don Wilbon for getting it right. 30 points.
He didn't get anything right yet.
2 of baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals. That one is gone. The pregame at 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.